So, big change for DJI users in the UK and Europe affecting how and where we fly. Some members of the Grey Arrows Drone Club messaged me today mentioning how the geofencing restricted areas data on the DJI Fly app and also that's relayed on the Drone Scene website had all but disappeared, meaning most DJI-based restrictions have been removed from the DJI Fly app, not only here in the UK, but also in much of Europe as well. Sure enough, if you look at what the Fly app restrictions looked like a week ago and compare them to today, you can see a huge difference. It seems that the only restricted zones that appear in the UK now are the Airport Flight Restriction Zones, or FRZs. All the other restrictions that used to appear on the DJI FlySafe Map have all gone. Take a look at this screenshot from Drone Scene of the DJI data from a week ago. You can see plenty of restricted areas and the very distinguished grey funnel-shaped altitude restricted areas that DJI had imposed themselves, despite there not actually being any legal requirement for these in the UK. You can see one extending over Ely near the bottom of the picture. Then look at today's data. That same area just shows the simple airport FRZ in the standard round shape with the little runway extensions. Nothing over Ely, and the whole map is way simpler. And again here, up near Preston and Southport, an array of different restrictions on the old DJI Geo zones, but today just the simple airport no-fly zones. And down in Liverpool, over the big stadiums, restricted zones over the two big stadiums, today nothing at all. So, what is happening? And does this actually mean you can now fly your drone pretty much anywhere? Well, I don't know. Let's sort that last question out first, shall we? No. To be clear, there is no easing of the rules and regulations on where you're allowed to fly your drone. The same restrictions apply around airports. You cannot fly within 5 kilometres of an airport and its runway extensions. The same goes for crowds, stadiums. You cannot fly anywhere near a crowd of people or within 400 metres of any prison for that matter. And on that, you actually risk a chunky fine if it's just a mistake, or up to 10 years in prison if you're actually up to no good. And these rules apply to all models, including the very small little sub 250 gram models like the Mini 4 Pro as well. So if these rules are still in place, why has the DJI FlySafe database suddenly dropped all of these different area and no-fly zones? Well, DJI explained things in this news release published the other day, which I'll link to below. It's about them transitioning away from managing their own database of restricted areas and passing the responsibility over to the individual aviation authorities for each of the EASA member countries and also the UK's Civil Aviation Authority to manage things themselves. Part of the news release states the move is in alignment with existing drone regulations by EASA and the UK CAA and will provide drone pilots with more freedom to fly. They then go on to list the countries it affects immediately, and this includes the United Kingdom. Now, of course, what they mean by with more freedom to fly is that there is no longer the restrictions that DJI had imposed over and above what was actually regulated. And the disparity between DJI geo areas and the actual legal mandatory no-fly zones, that disparity had been increasing for years, and it was a common complaint of users because they literally just didn't know who to believe when checking if it was safe or legal to fly. And this caused real issues when you knew that you could legally fly in a particular area, but the DJI Geo zone was stopping you from even taking off. Now, last autumn, the UK CAA issued a safety notice instructing drone pilots to disregard drone manufacturers' geofencing applications and to make sure they were aware of the actual applicable airspace restrictions in place for the location that they were flying in. Section 1.4 had an interesting paragraph as well, mentioning that drone pilots must be able to download the latest version of the geographical zone data and be able to upload it into the Geo Awareness System. And so then we get the recent DJI Fly app update in December, just a few weeks ago, that introduced new functionality to do just that, adding in its release notes support for manual import of dynamic safety database in the EASA member states and the UK to comply with local regulations related to unmanned aircraft. And here we are today. DJI have now removed all but the bare minimum airport flight restriction zone information from the FlySafe app, presumably in readiness for the CAA or other EU countries to allow us to upload the latest data. Now, I'll be honest, I genuinely don't know if they're expecting the general public to manually upload any database the CAA may offer us. I'm kind of hoping no, because I'm guessing around 1% of users will actually know how to or even bother to do that. The fact that I can see the airport FRZs tells me this is already a semi-automated update from the CAA information that will probably be expanded on very soon. But I don't actually know that for sure. So in the meantime, what is the best way to make sure that it is safe and legal to fly? Well, I have already done a video on the Grey Arrows drone scene site. It used to be free, but it's now either £16 a year for the full functionality of the interactive map, or £25 a year to also include liability insurance. So, in my opinion, still a very good deal. Really is a brilliant website, and I link to that in the notes of every video I put on YouTube because it is so useful for UK flyers. However, if you don't want to part with your money, then you can also use the Drone Assist app by Altitude Angel, which is free, but in my opinion, nowhere near as useful as Drone Scene. But either way, you have got good sources of information that tell you exactly where you can and can't fly and whether or not there are any airspace restrictions or other hazards. This situation, though, may change soon, as it is clear the DJI Fly app is being updated to expand its usefulness in determining where it's safe to fly. You can see that after last month's update, the DJI Fly app has changed and it is now offering a new Fly Spots functionality that shows the basic no-fly zones in orange, and it is beginning to populate with places that people fly from, and I'm guessing we're going to get more on that coming soon. Anyway, look, super quick video today just to reiterate that you can't fully rely on the DJI FlySafe interactive map now. And the bottom line is that the buck will always stop with you, the drone pilot, as to whether it's safe and legal to fly wherever it is you're flying. I get the feeling that there's going to be a lot more on this very soon, but for now, let me know your thoughts below. Until next time, stay safe, fly safe, have fun, happy flying.